And while President Trump vows to designate Antifa as a domestic terror group, one former member discusses where their members may be coming from.
It is far more violent than anything I ever experienced or witnessed. And I think it has to do with the fact that so many college administrators and college campuses that allow Antifa to work under their noses. We don't allow ISIS to recruit on college campuses, and we should not allow Antifa to do that either.
Here to react is the editor-in-chief of campusreform.org, Cabot Phillips. Hey, Cabot.
Hey, Ainsley.
Good morning. So why does Antifa target college students?
Well, college campuses are the perfect place for Antifa to recruit because of a few things. First off, what's going on in the classroom. They know that classrooms are places that are inundating students with these anti-capitalist, anti-cop, anti-conservative messages. And so students are more receptive to that kind of extreme rhetoric when they hear it from people that are in Antifa already. The other element is that young people are more likely to feel invincible. They want to get involved. They want to do crazy things and think nothing will happen to them. And they think there are no consequences. And sadly, many times they're right. There aren't consequences when they engage in political violence. And also there's an element of their social justice mindset of wanting to earn credentials with their peers by doing the craziest things possible and showing that, the more violent or the more intimidating their protests are, the more woke they are and the more committed to the cause they are. And so Antifa has been given free rein on college campuses for too long to recruit. We've reported at the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform how they've gone on completely unabated by universities, and they've had a free rein to grow their movement on campus. And we know that what happens on college campuses inevitably bleeds out into society, and that's what we're seeing this week with these organized riots around the country. These didn't just spring up. These are being led by members of Antifa, and sadly, they've had too long to grow on college campuses.
I know years ago you said it was time to take Antifa seriously. What was it that made you have that perspective?
Well, we've been blowing the whistle for years on this. Thankfully, networks like yours at Fox have been covering it, but too many people aren't waking up. I've had conversations. I remember 3 years ago at Berkeley when there were riots of Antifa growing on campus. I had a call from one of my female reporters crying, saying that men with lead pipes had chased her to her car because she was covering their protests. I've had other students, a coworker of mine, nearly had his orbital bone shattered, was hospitalized by a sucker punch from Antifa. I've been at riots myself where I've seen their tactics. They are organized, they are growing, and they do not care about all the ideals that we hold dear in America. They don't care about free speech. They care about intimidation and violence to get what they want. And I've seen that growing. I've seen it around the country. And that's why I think that more Americans need to wake up to this. This isn't some, group of goofy college students. This is a serious threat. And the president was right to call them domestic terrorists because the definition of terrorism is using violence and intimidation to achieve political goals. That is what they're doing. And they're very open about it. And they're proud of that fact.
All right, so what do you think what will that lead to?
Well, hopefully it will lead to dissuading people from joining the group. I think if more 18 or 19-year-old kids knew when they got to a college campus that if they joined Antifa, that they would be taking part in a group that's domestic terrorism. And it's interesting to see their actual recruitment tactics because they start by making it look really fun. They call it the radical rush, as if joining Antifa is just like rushing a sorority or a fraternity. And they use this rhetoric to draw people in where they say to be anti-fascist is to be anti-racist and anti-bigot. And of course, we should all be anti-racism and anti-bigotry. But what they don't say is that all they have to do is label anyone they don't like as a racist or a bigot. And then in their mind, it justifies their violent activities. And so they reel people in with this idea that all they have to do to join the group is care about, pushing back against racism. And they get students in, and then they slowly indoctrinate with them with this mantra of by any means necessary, which is one of their things they're very proud of, saying that we're going to push back on racism and bigotry by any means necessary. And so they label anyone they don't like as a racist, and then they invoke those tactics of violence and intimidation to stop them. And that's why so many students fall for them.
All right. Thank you so much, Cabot. As police work to bring calm back to New York City, the state's Democratic leaders or lawmakers are now vowing